you're going to ride off-road at night, you're going to need to buy a proper light. And when I say a light, you're going to actually have to buy two. One for your handlebar and one for your helmet. The idea is these two lights work in tandem. The bar light floods the trail in front of you, the helmet light picks out the detail. Some people say you can just have one really bright light on your helmet, but the reason I like to have a bar light is because it's low down and it creates texture, and this allows you to read the trail. If I just show you how this works, if you put the light low down, it creates some shadows and you can actually see little undulations and obstacles. Now if we raise the light, it actually floods the area and you don't see any of that texture. You don't see any of the contours, any of the ripples, and you can ride into holes and hit roots. It's still important to have a helmet light because you can look over obstacles in the trail. You can turn your head to see through corners or spot a turn, or simply look down to see what gear you're in. When buying a helmet light, you have two options. You can buy an all-in-one light like this. This is where the battery and the lamp are a single unit. Or you can buy a helmet light like this. This is the battery at the back and the lamp's on the front. With this system, the weight's more evenly distributed between the front and rear of the helmet, so you're going to feel it a lot less. It's also really low profile, so there's less chance of you catching it on an overhanging branch. More recently, we've started to see lights that you can attach to a GoPro camera mount. These are often integrated into the helmet and are a lot lighter. Bar lights are also available as an integrated design or as a separate lamp and battery connected via a cable. With this design, there's no wires to pull out or get in the way, and it's really easy to remove for charging. However, all the weight is on the handlebar where you'll notice it the most, and the light is exposed, so if you have a crash, it can get damaged easily. There are various ways to mount a light to the handlebar, and one of the simplest is using an O-ring, which is basically a rubber band. It's light, inexpensive, and expands to accommodate different bar diameters. Clamp-on mounts are better for heavy lights, but they're not always adjustable, which means for different bar diameters, you're going to need a different size clamp. Before we get into a few recommendations, I'm going to talk a little bit about lumens. Lumens is a measurement of light output. The higher the number, the brighter the light. However, this is where it gets confusing, because you will see two figures: claimed lumens and measured lumens. Claimed lumens is actually the theoretical measurement of the individual LEDs. However, due to things like manufacturing tolerances and the electronics in the light, you rarely achieve 100% efficiency, which means you never get the claimed lumens. This is why measured lumens is actually a true reflection of the actual light output. There are no hard and fast rules with this though, because some companies use both figures. The only way to know for sure is to measure the lights with a scientific instrument called an integrating sphere, which is what we do at MBR when we test all the lights. Generally speaking, the brighter the better, but if you're just starting out, we'd recommend something like 800 to 900 lumens on the helmet and about 1500 to 2000 on the handlebar. I'd also recommend a helmet light with a spot beam or narrow focus, just because you don't need it to spread out, because you've already got a light on your handlebar that does just that. Most modern lights use lithium-ion batteries, which means they don't require a specific charging regime. You can just top them up and run them down as necessary. The key feature on the battery is a fuel gauge, which is usually a row of red or green LEDs. Another handy accessory is a remote control. This lets you adjust the light without having to remove your hand from the bar. The last thing I'm going to talk about is programmability. Being able to customize the light output and settings is really handy when riding off-road. This is because most lights have multiple settings such as high, medium and low beam, and they can also have a couple of flashing options. These are all very well, but having to toggle through multiple settings when you're riding at night can be a real pain. Off-road, we reckon you just need a low beam for the climbs and a high beam for everywhere else. So being able to eliminate some of the redundant settings is a good idea. There also might be a situation where you want to customize the light output. Say for example, if you're riding solo, you might want just a really bright light. But say for example, you're riding with a group of mates, You may want to reduce the light output so they don't get blinded, and since light output is related to runtime, you should be able to ride for longer.